This is a mountain hemlock, Tsuga mertensiana. You'll notice walking up to the tree that the foliage is a distinctly grayish cast. In many locations where it grows, though, that's caused by bloom, this gray color, and it often wears off and leaves just a your typical green needle-like look. But this one is very gray. The needles are short, only usually like ½ an inch. They do have bloom on all sides, so the top and the bottom of the needle look the same, kind of grayish. Very dense foliage, similar to a western hemlock. Lots and lots of needles, lots of short little side branches. If you look very, very close, you might be able to see that they have rounded leaf scars, raised rounded leaf scars. Your manual calls these peg-like. They're not really all that peg-like. They look more like small little insects or something. One way to look for those rounded leaf scars is to carefully take the needles off and look at the texture of the twig. Hemlocks have petioles, so if you look closely at the base of the needle, it's constricted into a tiny stem. The cones are small too, just like the needles. And unfortunately, I get these guys home and then they turn inside out on me. They start out with their looking normal, like a small papery cone with rounded scales, usually about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in length, so longer usually. But then I get them back here and they dry out, and those scales reflex backward completely. So it's hard to show you, it's hard for me to show anybody the way they're supposed to look. But usually papery scales, the cones hang downward, lots of cones, rounded scales, and small. Both hemlocks, western hemlock and mountain hemlock, have shorter needles and smaller cones than most of the other members of the pine family. Yeah. One way people recognize mountain hemlock is because when you look right at it, you'll notice that the needles, at the twigs, the needles stick out in all directions, similar to Douglas fir in that regard. And so they look like little stars from the front, from the ends of the twig, because those needles stick out in all directions. Looks like a little star. See if you can kind of get that idea.